If you're a freelance creator, a photographer, editor, videographer, you've probably taken on a project that looked really good on paper, and then halfway through you realized, why did I say yes to this? Maybe the rate was okay, but the work was uninspiring. Maybe it looked great on your portfolio, but the client was really difficult to work with. Or maybe it was someone you really wanted to work with, but the scope of the project just ended up taking way more time than you expected. I've been in that situation multiple times where you end up saying yes to almost everything that comes into your inbox. And after years of this, I needed to figure out a system to help me decide which projects I could say no to and which projects I could say yes to with intention. That's when I started using a framework called the 3 R's: Reels, Rates, and Relationships. This mindset has completely changed how I approach freelance work. It's helped me protect my time, build a stronger reel, charge more, and help me work with people that I really want to work with. Let me show you how it works. So a common problem that I had, I'm sure other creatives have early on in their career, is when you first start out, A, you don't have a very large show reel, and B, you don't have a lot of money. So oftentimes you find yourself saying yes to almost every single project that comes into your inbox. While yes, you do need to build your reel, especially in the beginning parts of your career. I mean, that's sort of an ongoing process. Even now, many years in, I'm still building my reel in certain categories that I feel like lacks a little bit of strength in. The outcome of saying yes to a bunch of projects is what happens is you end up having a calendar filled with projects that A, sometimes you're just not really thrilled about the subject matter, B, the rates, what you're getting paid out of these projects aren't exactly what you had in mind, and you're taking projects on that don't compensate you fairly or what you feel like you're worth. And oftentimes you just get burned out by working too much. The key change for me was starting to implement this system that allowed me to figure out which projects to work on and allowed me to really put in 100% of my effort and my time into projects that aligned with my goals. Okay, so the 3 R's: Reels, Rates, Relationships. Basically, anytime a project comes across, the project has to fulfill 2 out of the 3 R's. Reels means, does this project help build my showcase reel, my portfolio? Rates is simply, is this project worth the amount of time that I'm going to have to invest into it? And relationships is, by taking on this project, will it foster or build a relationship in some sort of fashion or way that'll help me in the future? Okay, let's break down Reels a little bit further. Reels is this project something that'll help build my showcase reel or my portfolio? Basically, by taking on this project, will the outcome help build my reel, and will it help attract more potential clients in this same category? I'll give you a personal example. For the most part, almost all of my projects typically deal with sort of lifestyle, tech, and fashion. More so, probably fashion and tech, and a little bit of sports. Projects that really align with my niche or the sort of stuff that I typically take on are, let's say, like a sportswear brand like Nike, or doing something with a camera brand. By taking on projects in those sort of niches, that'll help build my overall portfolio and help attract more brands in the future to work with. I primarily want to work with those sort of brands because that's the sort of work that I enjoy, and it's something that I want to continue to do in the future. Now, this isn't to say that you need to work in the niche that you've carved out for yourself. Sometimes you get really cool projects that can help expand your overall portfolio in new avenues. But for the most part, in order for a project to check the Reels box, it has to be in an area that you're really interested in, and it's something that you want to build your portfolio more into. Next is Rates. And Rates is basically just, does it pay you well enough for your time? Is this project sustainable income, or is it a time sink? Will it take too much of your time away from other projects, from spending time with your loved ones, or just in general, is it going to take you away from being able to do things you actually want to do? Basically, just got to figure out how much your time is worth and whether or not a project and its deliverables, or the things that it expects you to do, are worth the X dollar amount that they're willing to pay you. The 3rd R is Relationships. And basically, this means that when you take on a project, will this project help foster a relationship that you're interested in, whether that's a person, a brand, someone you want to continue working with in the future? It's not necessarily framing it in the manner of, will this person or brand help you in the future? It's more so, will this particular relationship help foster opportunities in the future, whether that be with that particular brand or just their network. It's just such a small world where everybody's interconnected, especially in the freelance world. So having good rapport with certain people, building certain relationships, those can be very invaluable. As a freelance videographer, editor, filmmaker, one of the most important things of every project is the sound. And that's where the sponsor of today's video comes into play, Epidemic Sound. Epidemic Sound has a fantastic library of sound effects and music. One of the biggest time sinks for me used to be finding tracks for my projects. A great solution to that is Epidemic Sound's plugin inside Premiere Pro. I can search by mood. Usually for me, it's something like lo-fi beats, or just type the kind of feeling I'm going for, and it gives me instant curated suggestions. One of my favorite artists is Sarah the Instrumentalist. She has a great selection of lo-fi, just really chill music that I use very often. I use it all the time to fine-tune transitions, set emotional tone, or layer in subtle sound effects that add punch to a cut. The best part is that the music is restriction-free, so I can publish globally and monetize without worrying about copyright strikes. There's a huge library, over 50,000 songs and 200,000 sound effects, and I've been using it regularly to add little sonic moments to my reels, transitions, and YouTube work. Use the link in the description below to try out Epidemic Sound. I've actually got a pretty cool curated playlist that I just released. Check that out down below, and thanks again Epidemic Sound for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so now that we've defined reels, rates, and relationships, how to use these 3 R's to pick and choose which projects to take on. Basically, it's really simple. If a project fulfills 2 out of the 3 R's, that's when I say yes to a project. Okay, let me give you a couple examples. Let's say first that an agency working with maybe Harley Davidson reaches out to me on a project, and the project is pretty cool. Basically, Harley Davidson wants me to create a short form video around their new bike. It's a really exciting project. You can shoot it out in Japan, wherever I want to. Let's just say for today's discussion, my day rate is $1,000 for the day. And for this particular project, I just need to shoot it. I don't need to edit it. And basically they're asking me to shoot for 1 day for this project. They're offering me my day rate, $1,000. The overall deliverables and project is really interesting. I'm not into bikes, but overall, I could see myself creating something interesting. But the agency that reached out to me also works with Apple, or they also work with Sony, 2 things that I use very often. And that's something that I'm really interested in working with them long-term, not on this particular project, but that relationship is something that I want to foster. In this particular case, working with Harley Davidson, I don't really ride motorcycles and it's not something that I'm interested in. So basically for the showcase reel, it's not something that I necessarily would check off. By me creating motorcycle content, it's not something that I want to do or continue to do in the future per se, and it doesn't necessarily build my immediate reel. However, for rates, it checks off my hypothetical day rate for $1,000 a day. That checks the box of what I would typically charge for that day. And then for relationships, it also checks that box because I want to continue working with this agency because they work with Apple and Sony, and that's something that I want to foster. So in this particular case, the reels unchecked, but rates, relationships are both checked. So that particular project, I would say yes to. Let me give you another example. Land Rover reaches out to me. I love Range Rovers. I love the Defender. That's one of my favorite cars, and I would love to shoot more car-related content. So Land Rover reaches out to me. They want to shoot their new Range Rover and their overall production. Again, let's just say for argument's sake that they just want me to come in and shoot for the day. But for the day, they only have a budget of, let's say, $250. I do, however, want to continue working with Range Rover in the future. For relationships, I check that box because it's Range Rover. I want to continue working with them in the future, and that's something I want to foster moving forward. In terms of reels, again, I check that box because that's something, that sort of content, this content around this car is something that I want to build into my showcase reel, into my portfolio. And those are 2 things that those are just easy checks. However, in this particular case, the rate is only $250 out of my hypothetical $1,000 day rate. And that's way lower than what I would usually charge. However, for this particular project, 2 out of the 3 R's have been checked. And so for this project, I most likely would say yes to. And let me give you a hypothetical project where I would say no to. Let's say that Nike reaches out to me and they want me to make a TikTok dance video about their new sneaker. Let's say this deliverable is about 1 minute, and the agency that I've worked with, they haven't had the best communication in the past, but this project, they're offering me $5,000, which is 5 times what I would usually charge for a day rate of the same scope. Now, again, this is all hypothetical, but for this particular project, if this specific set of deliverables were offered to me, in terms of reels, I don't want to be making TikTok dance videos in the future or just making a bunch of those or being known for that in my particular niche. Nothing against those. nothing wrong with those. But in this particular project, that wouldn't check the reels or showcase reel box. For relationships, again, this hypothetical agency, their communication hasn't been the best in the past. Sometimes they kind of just drop the ball on certain projects. You get to a contract and then you try to sign it, but things just fall apart. It's not necessarily the best relationship that you've had in the past. So the relationship, again, the box isn't checked. But finally, the rate. The rate is like 5 times what you would usually charge for a project. It's basically easy money, right? That's when you need to stick to the framework. You've only had 1 R out of the 3 R's checked, and that's just for rate. So in that particular project, under my framework, I would say no to that. And honestly, that saves you a lot of peace of mind and a lot of stress in the future, because sometimes you take on a project and you know in the back of your mind that it's not gonna go well, or it's not gonna be super fulfilling. These sort of red flags in the back of your mind, you can probably knock those out by using this framework. I've actually taken projects where the relationships and the reels, the project that I've created, I've gone on to showcase in my portfolio, the relationships that I fostered in this project have gone on to lead to other great projects in the future, but the rates weren't necessarily the best. They're a bit lower than I would typically charge for my time. I've taken on projects where I've done that for much lower prices, much lower rates, and I haven't regretted it because it still fulfills 2 out of the 3 R's. The 3 R's framework has helped me protect my energy and grow my career very intentionally, not just creatively, but financially and relationally as well. If you have any questions on this framework or anything else in general, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And if you have a particular framework or method of figuring out how and when to say yes to a project, let me know as well down in the comments. If you're interested in any of my assets, my color grading, sound effects, transitions, feel free to click the link down in the description for my store. I've got all of my assets live there available to help your next project. And if you made it to the end of the video, leave me a comment with the word framework. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.